certainly getting back into a routine is a big priority right now.
Hey.
There's a lot that we have to do. I really appreciate the time I was able to spend with the commissioner on Monday. We met for 4.5 hours, and we really had a chance to cover a lot of topics. And being reinstated now with all that's going on, you guys all understand that as soon as the season ends, there's a lot of work that begins working this year, and so it's helpful to us. Certainly, we need to do a lot of things, but I'm grateful for that opportunity. I'm excited to be back and take questions here.
Are you surprised to be back early?
No, I don't. I think going through the time frame and getting past the first 2-3 weeks, and then trying to get into a routine outside of football, if you will, you just kind of temper any type of emotion in regards to expectation. And I think the most important thing was just making sure that Commissioner Goodell and Ray Anderson, who I really talked with directly, Jeff Pash, all those people felt like I was dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And many of you reached out with certain interview requests, and I appreciate that. And yet I wanted to make sure that there was nothing that was going to ever jeopardize reinstatement. And there were a few stories that I helped reporters with, but they were generally outside the realm of me, and they were more about another individual. So to answer your question, I don't know that I was surprised. I was really glad that he and I were able to speak and set up a meeting. And then to accomplish that, really on a Friday, and then meet on Monday, and go really 4 days with just only he and I knowing about it, I'm grateful for it.
Coach, how hard was it for you to watch this season, especially the way it got off to the very first start?
Well, I think this, it's difficult. As you try to draw an analogy to it, I found myself in a routine on game day, and of course I would get the coach's copy middle of the week, and so I had that available. But like anything else, you're watching from afar. There's certain things that you would see, and naturally, it becomes at times frustrating. I would say this though, and with the situation as unique and unprecedented as it was, I'm thankful to the staff. I'm thankful to Aaron Cromer's contributions as he had to move into that position. Thankful to Joe Vitt, and he's been really a tremendous ally and supporter and close friend and close coaching assistant for me. And players and coaches all went through something that was different. So there's this mixed emotion. You understand as you watch from afar the early struggles, and people would occasionally say, hey, how do you feel? And you feel frustrated because look, the amount of time you spend together with the players and your fellow coaches is extraordinary, and they're like your family in a lot of ways, and so you want to see them do well, you want to see them have success. I think the hardest part though was not football. The hardest part was so many of these people that we're talking about, Mickey Loomis, Mr. Benson, a number of the players, you're used to talking with on a regular basis. So the more difficult part for me was not having the personal interaction, not necessarily football related, but just as you would as a friend. That was what I found to be more difficult than football.
Looking back,
Listen, and as Commissioner and I visited with on Monday, clearly, look, we're in the business of teaching, and we ask our players all the time, let's not repeat, let's learn from our mistakes, and there's certain things that, as you have a chance to look back on it, that I would want to do differently and want to handle differently, and the challenges of managing a staff and understanding how important that is. But I won't go into all the specifics, but absolutely.
How much have you just missed it?
Quite a bit. You miss that competition, that element of what it feels like when you're winning, and when you have success, and the butterflies on Sunday mornings. But I would say this, and I just said it before: the interaction with the people, that you're closest to, was what I found that I missed most. In other words, it wasn't just being away from football. It was, and all of us are the same way, I think, professionally. Our associates, people that we share a similar job or in a similar work-related type job. We have close friends in that profession, and so that part of it was maybe what hit me harder as we went through time. That man, I miss talking to Mickey Loomis, and not necessarily about free agency or the draft, and I miss talking with Joe Vitt, not about linebacker play, and I miss talking with a guy like Drew Brees, or I miss talking with a Will Smith, or I miss, Mr. Benson. I was able to talk with Tom, but that was more challenging. I think more or less it was using your common sense. Ray used a pretty good description, treating it much like the lockout in regards to, when you go through this, and all of a sudden I found myself twice a week talking with Ray, potentially bumping into somebody, or maybe a text came, or someone called about a recommendation. So there were a lot of questions, and Ray was helpful. I appreciate, the amount of time he was able to provide me and his guidance. And so if it was even close, if there was any question at all, I'd call him and say, hey, give me a suggestion here. Came up with the one time, specifically, it came up with Cortez Kennedy, going into the Hall of Fame. And I'm appreciative that I had an opportunity to be there, take my son there, but be there for Cortez, and that was something that